We're back with OverDrive's Bryan Hayes, and we got an NFL edition of Hot or Not. I make a statement, and you tell us hot or not. So let's get started with marquee matchup of week 3. We got the 0-2 Ravens traveling to Jerry's World to take on a 1-1 Cowboys team. They just got dominated by the Saints on Sunday at home. So, Hayes, despite the Ravens being winless, it's actually the Cowboys that are more desperate heading into week 3. Hot or not?
Not. I cannot get on board with that. I know how ugly it was for Dallas. We all do. We all saw it. New Orleans went in there and absolutely spanked the Cowboys. But they're 1-1 in a weaker division. I don't think the Eagles are great. I know New York's awful. I know Washington's awful. So 10 wins might get the NFC East, the way things are trending at this point. That's not going to apply to the AFC North. Right, the Steelers are 2-0. The Browns got themselves a win. We'll see what happens with Burrow and the Bengals. The Ravens have got to get this game. You cannot start 0-3. I think it's basically make or break. If you lose this game in Baltimore, your season is probably done. I think they're more desperate. I do think they end up winning this game. And it's absolutely not when it comes to the pressure being more towards the Cowboys than the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay, let's keep going. Believe it or not, the Cowboys have only beaten the Ravens once in franchise history. That was 8 years ago. Now, moving on to someone who's no longer a rookie, but still struggling to find his footing in the NFL, Bryce Young. And we saw the Panthers announce that he's being benched. Andy Dalton will start against the Raiders on Sunday. So when it comes to this 0-2 start for Bryce Young, his young career where he's 2-16 since entering the league, hot or not, Hayes, the Panthers organization is to blame for Bryce Young's struggles.
I'm going to say hot on this. I'd like to be lukewarm on that, but it's not allowed. I know that you're a stickler when it comes to the rules.
Yeah, so, it's either hot or not.
Yes, I got to stick with hot here because I do think Bryce Young has to own some of it, but that team is a disaster. They, I think, might have the worst owner in pro sports right now in David Tepper. He's constantly involved in things. I think he actually really gets involved in terms of day-to-day decisions, which is a real issue. They just don't have talent down there. They haven't had a great offensive line, although it's been better through 2 weeks this year, and Young has to own some of that. But the line hasn't been great. There's really no talent. They just don't have enough wide receivers, enough of a running game. They don't have weapons around him to allow him to succeed. So if C.J. Stroud went there, Carolina would undoubtedly be in a better position. But if Bryce Young went to Houston, he would also be in a better position. So I do think it starts with the team, with the culture, and it just is not a positive one down in Carolina.
Really seems too quick to bench him. And let's go from one former #1 overall pick to another. We're going to end this with Trevor Lawrence. Now, 4 years into his career, Lawrence has one playoff win to his name. And after missing the playoffs last season, the Jaguars have started this season also 0-2. Now, Hayes, can we officially say that Lawrence is closer to a bust than a generational talent, hot or not?
This pains me, but it is hot. It is hot. I was a big believer in him coming out of Clemson. I've been a believer that eventually it will pounce. And he's still young. It is still early in his career, but he's been through multiple coaches. He's been in the league long enough to start to lift that team up, and it simply hasn't happened. 0-2 this year. Down the stretch last year, it was abysmal in Jacksonville, and he has to own that. He is the man. He's the first overall pick. He's the quarterback. He had winning ways in college. He knows how to do that. He just simply has not applied it, and I think they've added weapons. I think they have a pretty decent backfield. They have some weapons around him offensively for him to put up better numbers, and it just simply has not materialized, and it's getting deeper into the NFL season and deeper into his NFL career, where I don't think the generational talent is available to him anymore, or that title, right? Like, I don't think he's getting there now. He's got to stay. He's got to save his career at this point. He's got to make sure Jacksonville wants to keep him long term. And in order for that to happen, he's got to start winning games.
Yeah, it's tough going right now because Lawrence is 0-7 in his last 7 starts. The schedule not getting any easier for him either. Next up for the Jags, they play Josh Allen and the Bills in Buffalo on Monday Night Football. Thanks for another edition of Hot or Not.